Throughout 12 years of the Mi-4 production, a total of 3,200 machines with over 30 modifications were made. The helicopter proved to be of high demand. Anti-submarine, passenger, agricultural, forestry, rescue, polar, reconnaissance, ambulance, homing, mine setting, attack. It had so many versions. Different modifications brought a unique experience in satisfying various customers' requirements. Mi-4 was even ordered by the first secretary Nikita Khrushchev. Impressed by the flights in America on the President Eisenhower's helicopter, Nikita Khrushchev ordered a rotor wing machine for himself. Helicopter's demonstration to the high-ranking customer was made right in Kremlin. The armed Mi-4 became the first Soviet serial firing support helicopter. In the course of several decades, Mi-4 was utilized in the national economy, making the basis of the civil rotor wing aviation. Helicopters delivered geologists to difficult-to-access places, brought supplies to oil fields, worked on numerous construction sites as flying cranes, transported passengers. Work was more than enough. A number of unique experiments were conducted on Mi-4, such as the rotor blades blow-off, which provided for the crew-safe emergency escape. Radical changes occurred in the blade's production technology, the most important element of the helicopter rotor system. The wooden blade substitution for metal construction could be compared with the transition to an all-metal machine in the aircraft production. The blade resource grew up from 150 to 2,500 hours. Thanks to Mi-1 and Mi-4, the USSR in the 50s obtained the powerful helicopter fleet capable of performing significant tasks. Besides the Soviet Union, the Mil helicopters operated in more than 30 countries of the world. The Mi-4 development experience helped the Yakovlev Design Bureau. As was said before, Yakovlev could not refuse the assignment from Kremlin. Its heavy assault transportation helicopter was based upon the twin-rotor tandem layout. The helicopter was called Yak-24, and it was regarded as a doubled Mi-4. With practically no changes, the Mi-4 dynamic system was used, including the rotor, the wobbly plate, the main gearbox, and the power plant. Yak-24 had a long, almost square-section fuselage, which gave it a nickname, a flying wagon. The world's largest for its time rotor wing machine could not leave anybody indifferent. Just look how it worked. A helicopter flew its way when it saw a friend in trouble. How can it give any help? Well, helicopters can do this work easy enough. It can lay pipelines or help restoring a palace in Pushkin. It is 10 times more efficient. This helicopter was used to refuel combat vehicles. And utilized as an assault vehicle. Cannons and cars were easily accommodated inside the wagon. A passenger version for 30 seats was also developed. This helicopter holds the first Soviet world record. Pilots Georgy Tinikov and Yegor Milutichev pulled 4 tons to an altitude of 3,000 meters. But nothing is perfect. Yakovlev did not manage to resolve problems of the tandem layout and dropped this difficult task. Its design bureau turned to a more simple and habitual business, airplane design. After making 40 Yak-24 machines, the project was wrapped up. Thus, there were only 2 helicopter design bureaus left in the Soviet Union: the Mills, making helicopters upon the classical layout, and the Kamovs, working upon the coaxial layout. In spite of the fact that Kamov did not get any assignment from Kremlin, he did not stop making new machines. The designer obtained certain support from the Naval Aviation Command, which needed a ship-based helicopter. Thus, upon their assignment, a 2-seat Ka-15 was built. It had to search for and destroy the enemy's submarines, establish communication, perform reconnaissance, artillery spotting, and rescue. In 1953, this machine performed its first flight piloted by Dmitry Yefremov. Tests were full of work. Apart from traditional helicopter problems, the coaxial layout has its own specific problems. For example, the danger of blades crossing, since the rotors wind in opposite directions. But the game was worth the candle. Ka-15 had the same payload as Mi-1, but it was twice lighter. It had more advantages at ship basing. The Ka-15 coaxial layout was less sensitive to rolling and side winds. For designers, work on this helicopter turned into a great school of resolving problems typical for the coaxial layout machines. In the course of Ka-15 modernization in the beginning of 1956, a 4-seat version was built. It was defined as Ka-18. Improvements touched upon fuselage and power plant. Surprising enough, but Kamov and Mill managed to achieve impressive results within a relatively short time. The Mills helicopters enjoyed mass utilization in both the national economy and the army. The first Kamov's helicopters were not yet in fact operating machines. But one should not forget that among the helicopter's layouts, the coaxial is one of the most complicated. Not so many designers in the world managed to develop an efficient machine with such a layout. The Kamov's machine proved that the chosen path was correct. Most important was that both designers, Mill and Kamov, obtained fundamental experience which they could use in future developments. The plans were to equip helicopters with more powerful gas turbine engines instead of piston engines. They already existed, and the task was only to put them on